Initially, I planned to disregard the Twitter-based claims, but after learning about the harassment of commentators on my videos, I created a Twitter account. To my surprise, I found a post filled with misinformation and assumptions, which I will address here, starting with the main topic, AI. When reading through the post, it was brought out that the sprites along with everything else was AI generated. Regarding AI, I clarified that it enhances, rather than generates art. I thankfully discovered this midway through the Fever Tale project. I'm relieved to know that most of the content is original, including the enhancements. This is why some character styles were either discontinued or completely altered. Since learning about the issue, I've made sure we primarily use original art and avoid enhancements. The enhancements doesn't completely alter or change the art, while it might add an extra few things, or make certain mistakes. The art looks identical to the original. While I don't personally enhance the art, some artists do apply enhancements to their original creations. Additionally, this AU is getting animated without any enhancements. Just original, and I have sprites, music and more art being worked on, including animations which I've shown on my channel. And as you clearly can see, I have people working on art for Fever Tale and my next AU. I would also like to say that Under Purgatory remains mostly original, with most of the sand sprites being worked on by me. The enhancements were only mentioned later on. Upon looking further into this, some people stated that this is not AI, and they got a response saying that any art that isn't from Undertale is AI. This is Twitter, a place I was warned about, and I'm witnessing how bad it is for the first time. This is a horrible way to tell if something is AI, and there are AUs out there with completely different characters and a different art style not from Undertale. The text box you see is from Persona 5, which you can easily use just by looking it up. I'm bringing this up because I've used many different things and characters which are not from Undertale. The entire idea of Under Purgatory and Shiva was to look completely unique and different from most AUs. I've incorporated numerous references to various shows and video games throughout both AUs. The initial design for Frisk was altered due to a style change, diverging from the original concept. Additionally, some videos were created using RPG Maker, resulting in a distinct art style compared to Undertale. There are many things incorporated that originate from sources beyond Undertale. It was also said that I didn't finish the whole speed paint, and that I was using an already finished image. This tells me one thing: these people, or this person, did zero research into my videos discussing AI, and mostly skipped over it. I know this because I had brought up that I use free to use sprites, or credit to use sprite sheets, that I then change and edit to look completely different or uncanny. The uncanny looks are done by me, as you can see with this example. I want to state that I mentioned that they were enhanced afterwards. I said this because I would have some of the sprites worked on by others, which I said in the video. However, after finding out about some of them being enhanced, I referred to the sprites as being enhanced for me, now knowing how they've been worked on. But I made it clear that I worked on these sprites and had them heavily edited and altered by me. Not only was no research put into the videos at all, but they had completely skipped over the parts where I explained how and why the art is the way it is. Instead, they told people that I just did a bunch of yapping. I knew Twitter users were brain dead, but I had no idea these people had the attention spans of a fruit fly. All of this has led to a bunch of misinformation being spread because a couple of people didn't do their research at all. Before I could respond again, I was messaged back stating that I steal other people's artwork and use AI on it. Because of how Twitter makes you pay just to type out a paragraph, which is stupid, I could only say so much. I had to clarify and explain that the sprites were free to use or credit, as shown in this example here. Keep in mind that I wouldn't be having this discussion nor having to bring it up, had this person actually watched the videos and done their research. But this is Twitter for you. These posts have gained over 60,000 views or more, and have resulted in harassment in the comment sections of YouTubers reacting or explaining the lore of my AU, all because of misinformation. I even got one of them to explain what has happened with their videos on Fevertail.
Hey guys, my name is Mariros, a Spanish YouTuber, and I'm going to explain what had happened recently with Fevertail and Under Purgatory drama because it's very confusing. So lately I made some videos explaining all the lore, all the hidden story of this alternate universe of Undertale, and suddenly a lot of comments in my section, in my case Spanish ones, was filled of hate to this alternate universe, telling that it's the worst shit they have ever seen in their lives and it's the worst analog horror that has ever existed. I don't understand all this drama. Maybe it's because some people think it's entirely made by AI, but I guess that's not the truth. And being honest, I guess this is a lot of hate unnecessarily because, man, the creator is just a guy who makes this for fun. He isn't doing anything wrong, and I guess it isn't necessarily this hate. Twitter is a toxic community, we know it, and a lot of people is criticizing without even seeing the full series, which have a deep meaning in the end. So guys, that's all that I can say. Thank you for listening to me, and see you soon.
Furthermore, the post references channels that simply reacted to my content, which is unfair to them as they were simply just reacting to my content. Beyond the AI talk, many are criticizing Fevertail as the worst analog horror, ignoring the fact that there are worse series like Angel Engine, which is entirely AI generated, or Urban Spook. Even Glitchtale, while not analog horror, has been criticized for so many plot holes. I clarified in a Twitter reply that Fevertail isn't analog horror, providing a video explanation. People are calling it a poorly made horror tale, despite its lack of inspiration from that comic series. They're also basing their entire critique on a single video, ignoring the many other videos with millions of more views, which isn't a fair representation of the series. Some have suggested that I use the Fever Dream style as an excuse for this content. However, I've stated from the beginning that Fevertail is a fever dream. If you research fever dreams, you'll find that Fevertail adheres to the format, as demonstrated by the 3D video and episodic segments, and the constant POV shifts and cuts. This is what made Fevertail popular, its departure from typical AU formats, aiming for a bizarre and random identity. While it contains analog horror elements, it's not primarily a horror AU. To be clear, Fevertail is not a horror AU. It could be viewed as an ARG, since the lore is based on a real story. In conclusion to all of this, Twitter is filled with people with the absolute lowest attention spans. I also want to point out the fact that famous creators need to think and check for evidence before they make accusations about people, because it causes unnecessary harassment for what many creators actually didn't do, since their fans will likely follow their reasoning despite not knowing the whole truth. This misleads people. I thought that most people who come out with videos discussing things would have evidence to back up their facts. Instead, I hear and see the most dogshit takes I've ever seen in my life. Not only did these people not watch the entire AU, but they misinterpreted it as analog horror despite one of my video titles being Fever Dreams. I honestly cannot take anything from Twitter seriously, and neither should you. Aside from all of this drama, I have a bigger AU being worked on that will still contain the Fever Dream style. There is also a fan game of Fevertail and Under Purgatory being worked on, and the next AU will be using the Undertale engine. If you watched Fevertail, you'd know that it takes heavy inspiration from Majora's Mask and Bend Round. The next AU will be styled around Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance and Yokai Watch 2. As you've seen on screen, this is a work in progress of this AU. Fevertail and Under Purgatory will be getting remasters.